DIY Duke here. Okay, I got all the pre-fill done up here as we did in the last scene. So we're ready to string some tape. Did some screw spotting. Always when you have people who do drywall, haven't done drywall, you're gonna get this kind of thing, which is called a clicker. And that's when these aren't depressed enough, recessed enough into the drywall, that when you spot them with your broad knife, they click. And believe me, there's gonna be a lot of them. But that's just what you deal with when that kind of thing is. So we're gonna mix up some mud first of all. And the mud we have is this stuff, all-purpose light. They didn't start coming out with light until maybe the 90s or whatever. It doesn't weigh as much, probably doesn't go as far as the old mud used to go, but it's what they had available. So we're gonna mix that up and then put it into the Bazooka and start stringing tape. So let's mix some mud. Okay, you're gonna add enough water in there to mix that stuff up so it's fairly light, fairly liquid, just so you can run it through the gun, the Bazooka, and it's not too thick, it doesn't come out in a nice even, but if it's too thin, watery, runny, it's gonna make a huge mess, but we'll show you how that works. We're gonna put the pump in it and pump the Bazooka full of mud, put the tape on, and then string some tape. Production time. Okay, we've got the setup for our automatic taper here. This is the mud pump, and it's got a little gooseneck on it there. That's gonna fill up this. We'll switch this out when we start using the boxes, but this is our automatic taper. This is a Tape Tech, and it used to be able to rent these tools through Ames. Ames Brothers had a patent and you could not buy them, but then that came out and then you could actually buy your own stuff. But anyway, there's a plunger. When you pump this full of mud, it comes up the tube and stops up here. And then you got a full load. A lot of people just put their finger there. When it hits their finger, it's full. And it is full. And if you see the plunger right there, it's all the way to the top. So we're ready to go. Put some tape on it, which will go here. Goes around here. Then you put your thing back on. And feed that tape. Comes out, and the wheel with the cable brings that plunger down and dispenses the mud out onto the tape. Genius idea. They're a lot of work. If you're going to do a house, you can rent the tools and rent them long enough to finish taping your house and then send them back. Man, that's the way to go. Otherwise, you got to tape all these seams with fiberglass tape or paper tape all by hand. Obviously, this is a skill to learn how to use these stuff. The flats, the joints on the flats are much easier than the angles. The angles are real challenging, but again, this is going to make it a lot easier, and with the other tools as well. That takes a long time by hand, but with that thing, zip. It's all mudded. All you gotta do is wipe it down, which is simple. A lot of people start in the middle here and go this way and that way so the tape doesn't wrinkle, but it's a really fast way to do it. So you just take a broad knife, In this case, it's an 8-inch knife. And just go like this. This chain here, there's a blade in there, a razor sharp blade, that when you pull this down, it cuts the tape. Really genius idea. Who invents this stuff? Wow, I wish I would have. Anyway, so you're gonna zip along the wall, and right when you get to about here, you're gonna hit that, cut it. Now that's really crucial on the angles, because it's so hard to get those. I remember struggling with that so bad, getting so pissed off it wouldn't work. But you usually start a little past and then go, because when you go, it has this tendency to pull that tape. We're going to show that. Why talk about it when you can show it right? This is a video, not a radio show. Anyway, I forget that sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and start taping out. John, get this thing taped today. Let the tape dry. And then we're going to use a whole new set of tools called the boxes. Those are cool. And you know, when you start breaking those out, you're getting a little step closer to getting the job done. So I'm going to get to work now, because people are actually paying me for this. I don't want to, think I'm not working, because I'm really not. Does that sound right? Yeah, probably. Anyway, I'm going to feel the weight of that bazooka lessen as it starts running out of mud. And just kind of, you'll be able to get used to timing yourself to go ahead and fill it up before it runs completely out of mud, or else you're going to string some tape and then there's not going to be mud behind it and you're going to have to redo it. Another thing is, when I'm running, of course, the flats, I'll start out and then I'll run one of the bazooka wheels on the side instead of both, because that has a tendency to smash mud out sometimes and gets kind of messy, but that's just about right. You can see plenty of mud behind there. And that's cool. That's the way it should be. So what you do is you run all the horizontals, then you come back and you can do the butt joints like this. Kind of works the opposite when you box it, but we'll show that. So we're going to do all the stuff down low, and then we're going to jump in the stilts and do the high stuff, knock that out. Then you generally let this sit up a little bit, the flats. You don't have to on a job like this. I'm not going to. I'm going to go right into taping the angles. And then get this whole thing taped, and then that's going to dry really good today. It's a nice day outside for February. And then I'll come back and start boxing out, and then we'll run the metal again. The metal usually always gets 2 coats, if not 3, but you can see how that's shrinking back. You can see that metal edge right there. That second coat is going to cover that. You can see some of this is not drying, and that sound you hear in the background throughout the whole video is this thing. Yeah, one thing you need when you do drywall, the taping part of it especially, is heat. Otherwise this junk won't dry. And sometimes if it freezes, that's not good because it'll crack. So anyway, yeah, heat's necessary. A couple things about the hanging. See all those joints? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, those kind of joints, especially the butt joints, should not be there. And some people say, if you want to be a good hanger, be a taper for a while, because the taper follows the hanger, and if it's not done right, it makes the job twice as much and twice as much work. Just like joints like this here, that shouldn't be next to a window. It should break over the window, and then you only have a small joint, not an 8-foot joint. Things like that. Same thing with the nails. You only need 3 nails or screws in the field instead of 16 or whatever the hell is in here. But anyway, another example up there. That's one long ass butt joint. That's like 12 feet. Butt joints are the hardest joints to finish. That's why they offset them. But hey, whatever. You know, you can see this angle up here, how it jogs across. Now you can't get a straight line with that, so we're just kind of gonna bullnose it like we do on the outside corners. we're gonna bullnose it on the inside corner, and we won't have to worry so much about a straight line. Anyway, a couple tips about the hanging too. Another tip about the wiping down. You wanna wipe it down, not too tight because it squeezes all the mud out, just tight enough where it gets that recess edge covered around a butt joint like this. Then there's mud behind the tape, so when you run it with a box, if there's no mud behind there, it's gonna blister. A couple little points I thought of. You know, if you do it all the time, you don't think, well, wait a minute, if I'm gonna teach somebody, I need to remember the steps. Sometimes I forget them and then go, wait, you know, I need to tell you guys that. So it's easier in the end product when you do the finishing. On your Bazooka automatic taper, there's a gate right here. This closes it, and this opens it for the flow of mud. And you open it up, and you're ready to go. You got mud on your tape, put it on the seam. Cut.